All right, so we are back on the Weight Concept presented by the Ring Magazine. Quick question for you guys. Can I go full conspiracy theory? I have a hold of a rumor that's a little juicy, all right? One that I didn't even get from the esteemed Ring Magazine. One that I didn't call any sources. I didn't call Mike Coppinger. I didn't call anybody in the know-how or in the know of. I was simply going about my day here in beautiful Orange County, California. And I heard through the grapevine, through a couple of people that if I named them on camera, you wouldn't even know, but that oddly makes me think this is even more credible. That not only are the rumors of Manny Pacquiao fighting again true, but that it's going to happen even sooner than you think. And I heard potential opponent names. What do I mean? The breakdown. Let's go. So, like I said, I was going about my day here in Orange County. I was going to the gym, you know what I'm saying, hitting the bag. Hey, staying in shape in case your boy has another fight soon, potentially. We don't know. I'm just saying, stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. Doing that, I was talking to some people because I'm an outgoing person. I was shopping. I was getting some food. I was getting ready, by the way, as you guys see this video, to go to SummerSlam. I want a plane probably, again, as this is out right now, and go do some things in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium for SummerSlam, day 1 and 2. But I was just going about my normal daily life. And again, if I told you the two individuals that I'm about to bring up and their names and everything they do, it wouldn't really make a difference. But let's just say they have a close connection to the Pacquiao family, or at least one close enough to have the information that they had on hand. And they said that they had spoken to people, maybe even the man himself directly, and that he or they said, rumor, allegedly, that Manny Pacquiao is going to be back in October. And there's 2 or 3 opponents, potentially, that are right there for Manny Pacquiao, 2 of which you guys have probably already heard about. Now, I don't know if these are set in stone, if this is talks, if this was something that's just been thrown out there by people that I got swindled by, but this sounded credible to me. And I'm, again, not bringing you this as any official source, not bringing you this as any official news, just a complete fucking rumor. And you've probably heard from actual credible people in boxing, which, again, kind of tied my story together here. They said it could be either Rolly Romero, that's right, the W.A.D.E welterweight champion of the world now, because Jaron Boots Ennis just moved to 154, vacated his belt. Guess who was the regular welterweight champion of the world when he did that? That is Rolando Romero. He is now the official 147-pound WBA champ. And Manny Pacquiao just fought for the WBC welterweight belt against Mario Barrios. He's probably only going to take big fights. Rolly is there as a champion, and one that Manny probably thinks he can beat because of his performance against Mario Barrios. Hold on to that thought. Second opponent choice, one that I was like, ooh, maybe we don't do that, was Gervonta Tank Davis. And this video is also to talk about the Tank Davis situation. One, he's dealing with a domestic violence allegation. That's what we know right now. And it's not the first one that he's had. And we've heard Tank Davis talk about how he's not in love with boxing anymore, that he doesn't even want to box anymore, that he's done with the sport and he wants to retire, or he's thinking about retiring. So who knows what's going on there. But again, if you think about it, Tank Davis was supposed to have, if he beats Lamont Roach just a couple of months ago, was supposed to fight Jake Paul this summer. That was apparently almost a done deal. All Tank had to do was beat Lamont Roach. And here we go. Jake and Tank Davis, a circus fight of all circus fights. You think Jake versus Anthony Joshua is a crazy fight? And that looks more likely than not that it's actually going to happen. If you thought that was a circus fight, Jake and Tank Davis was going to be even more of a circus fight. That one's not happening because Tank didn't beat Lamont Roach. Now, Tank and Lamont Roach supposed to fight sometime in the middle of August. We don't even know if that's going down because Tank just got arrested. Then he got released from jail, but now he's got a court hearing, and we don't know when that's going to happen because they just pushed that back. It's all fucking chaos. August is not looking likely. October, on the other hand, if you haven't had a set rematch with Lamont Roach, if you're looking to have one more big fight and exit the sport, if you want to make a shit ton of money before your exit, and if you want an easier fight than your last one on the way out, potentially Manny Pacquiao might be that guy. Although I will say, watching Manny Pacquiao not only keep up with, but in my opinion, beat Mario Barrios, it does throw a little bit of cold water on this Gervonta Tank Davis win. That's maybe before the Frank Martin fight and the Ryan Garcia fight, his biggest win, or one of his biggest wins, the Mario Barrios fight at 140. Tank was down in that fight and came back with the touch of Floyd Mayweather's hand on his glove. Tank, I need you. Gave him some sort of superpowers, and he knocked out Mario Barrios late in that fight. That win doesn't look as great now. especially when 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao comes out and is bloodying up Mario Barrios and giving him a black eye. I'm not saying that Manny Pacquiao will beat Gervonta Davis. In fact, I think you should keep Manny Pacquiao away from Gervonta Davis because of his explosiveness, because of the power in his hands, because he's still youthful. Even if he isn't fully committed to the sport, I still think it's a bad matchup for Pacquiao. But Lamont Roach was faster with his hands. He was putting the power on Tank Davis, a guy that's a natural 130-pounder coming up to 35 and kind of giving Tank all he wanted and some. So if you're talking about Tank coming up to 47 to fight Manny Pacquiao, because of course that's where it'd have to be. And again, think about that. Manny Pacquiao is actually bigger than Tank Davis. Who knows? My point being that these fights are intriguing. And again, just from a random occurrence going throughout my daily life, speaking to people that seem to have knowledge on the situation, close to the people close to Manny Pacquiao, close to his team, I'm starting to wonder if this is reality. And if I'm looking at the situation as it sits, Manny's in a good spot. Everybody now wants to fight Manny because not only did he come back and he was a credible name when Barrios fought him, but he fought a decent enough fight versus Barrios to look like another credible matchup is there, and potentially way more money is out there for him. And now with this breaking news, Rolly Romero now being raised to the actual WBA 147 champion, that seems like the most likely option. Again, rumor, speculation, I'm just putting it out there. And if that's the matchup, I mean, Rolly hits like a Mack truck. And everybody that spars him and everybody that talks about him says the same thing. Is he a high-level skill technique boxer? No. Can he be hit and hurt? Yes. Broso was 40 when he knocked down Rolly. And a lot of people thought he potentially would have won that fight if not for a weird kind of flukish stoppage there for Rolly. It's not out of the realm of possibility that Manny Pacquiao could have a lot of success with Rolly. Manny is fast, even still. Got calf muscles like most people's quads. Yeah, he took some punches, and when he did get hit, it was like, oh, gosh, he's not taking those punches well. So if Rolly connected with one of those dynamite right hands or left hooks, we could see Pacquiao on the floor. He shouldn't even be competitive. He's 46 years old. It's an indictment, honestly, on the sport of boxing when Manny Pacquiao is contending for world championships and arguably winning at 46. And also at 147 pounds when he started at like 108. But if he gets Rolly, and honestly, you know, hey, good for Rolly if he gets a payday like that. Good for him if he gets a fight versus Manny Pacquiao. As much as I don't think Manny Pacquiao should be fighting for world titles, and he's cutting the line for a lot of guys at welterweight or guys moving into welterweight, but at the same time, fuck, he looked good against Barrios. So two opponents that I've heard, not only from these people, from some of the other people in the know and journalists that are talking about potential Manny Pacquiao next fights, no one is calling for the Barrios rematch. We don't want to see that. If it's between Gervonta Davis and Rolly Romero, Gervonta looks like everything is up in the air. I don't know that Gervonta is going to retire because the money's probably way too good for him to just walk away. But secondly, I also don't know how committed he is to boxing. And the obvious legal situation going on is not going to help him. So who knows what you can rely on there. The obvious choice looks like Rolly Romero. And again, they have both fought pretty close to each other. May for Rolly, now July for Manny. I don't think Manny's going to take too much time out. Rolly's already had a little bit of rest. They were talking about maybe doing Rolly and Ryan at the end of December. But if this comes up and you're Rolly Romero, you take this. You take a Manny Pacquiao fight. Hell, Ryan Garcia was calling for a Manny Pacquiao fight, and he probably would have got it had he beat Rolly to become, at that point, the WBA regular welterweight champion, been elevated to actual world champion, but he lost. So to the victor goes the spoils. And spoiler alert, if I'm actually right on this, you heard it here first. Manny Pacquiao, Rolly Romero in October. That is a prediction, not a spoiler, Paul Heyman. I see you out there. That is just my prediction based on almost nothing but hearsay and things that are being said in the boxing media space. And again, something that was said to me literally walking down the street in Orange County. I can't make this shit up. That's what I heard. I don't know if any of it's true. If it happens to be, you can call me Nostradamus because I predict these things. Anyway, that's all I got today, y'all. Pure speculation. Manny Pacquiao potentially could return in October, and if he does, I'm calling he fights Rolly Romero for the WBA 147-pound championship of the world. Did I just believe some random person that has absolutely nothing to do with the world of boxing but saw I was an absolute mark and would believe anything he told me? Yeah, it's possible. But I also could be right. So stay tuned, and potentially we'll see if Manny Pacquiao truly is back in October versus Rolly Romero, Don't have those answers, but guess we'll find out.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride